Welcome to PhillipCapital's Weekly Market Watch. We've seen stock markets rallying up in the past 2 months with Asian equities largely leading the pack. Will Asia lead global economies out of the slump? Today, we talk to Ms. Hilary Ho from Phillip Securities Research. So Hilary, what have accounted for the better performance in equity that we have seen recently?
Okay, equities had a tremendous run for the last 2 months. Much of the excitement was centered on an economy that was actually performing less badly than expected. The fortunes of the bank have largely dictated the movements, the stock market movements. So in terms of performance, Asia outperformed its Western counterparts. Okay, as of 7th of May 2009, MSCI Asia Pac ex Japan has gained as much as 23% year to date, while S&P 500 pales in comparison and has only gained by approximately 0.5%.
What could have contributed to the better performance in Asia equities?
Okay, the better performance was largely accounted by the strong performance in emerging Asia. For instance, China and Taiwan have registered gains between 40 to 50% year to date. Okay, this has helped to pull this part of the world up, and optimism with this region would largely be attributed to the massive economic stimulus packages that the governments have actually implemented. So for instance, China and South Korea have announced fiscal stimulus packages that are worth at least 4% of their respective GDP. This is twice the global target recommended by IMF.
However, in terms of statistics, Asia seems to have performed worse than other regions. What accounted for the poorer performance?
Looking at the latest GDP numbers, Asia has slumped alongside with the other regions. In fact, it has been hit harder than its Western peers. While the GDP data from the US and Europe have been bad, the numbers from advanced Asia economies have been even worse. For instance, Singapore's GDP fell by approximately 11% year on year in the first quarter of 2009, while US fell by 2.6% year on year. Emerging Asia, on the other hand, has performed better as the sustainable growth rates in this region are naturally high. The poor performance could be attributed to a few factors. Firstly, Asia is over-reliant on exports for growth, and this has badly affected them as world trade collapses. Secondly, Asia's response to the crisis has been relatively slow as well. They have been slow to cut interest rates as inflation rates then were still high. Okay, they were afraid that by reducing interest rates, inflation will only be aggravated.
Given that equities tend to move ahead of the economy, it seems to suggest that Asia will be the first to recover from the global slump. Would you agree with that?
There remains the possibility that Asia will be the first to recover from the global recession. This is so because, as mentioned earlier, massive stimulus packages have been implemented. Okay, these physical measures should aid the economy to a certain extent in face of a worldwide slump in demand. Okay, however, I continue to have my reservation with regards to whether Asia will be the first to emerge from the slump. Okay, this is because of the over-reliance on trade for growth in this region. Okay, due to this over-reliance, they will need their Western partners to resume their consumption for investment goods and big ticket items before their economy can actually start growing again. So, this means that, Western countries would need to recover first. Okay, for Asia to recover first, they will need to spur domestic demand. Okay, unfortunately, this cannot happen overnight as Asians are habitual savers and therefore they will not spend unnecessarily. Okay, indeed, in the latest IMF Regional Outlook report for Asia and Pacific, it has been said that despite the government's efforts to spur domestic demand, the prospect for a recovery at this stage hinged critically on a rebound in global activities.
Thank you, Hilary, for your time today. With that, we've come to the end of this week's Market Watch. Join us next week for more market updates.